What's up guys, Nolan here, and today we're going over some squad tactics. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I suggest that you check out my squad success video because it is all still true and viable. I'll just be adding some tactics on top of the stuff you should know from that video. Today we're going over a couple squad tips around basic flanking and how to get out of a situation where you yourself are flanked. I also want to point out that I am just a keyboard commander. I play a lot of RTS games and have never served in the military. I'm just a nerd for this stuff. There's two major mistakes players in squads make that we'll go over today. The false sense of security you get from playing with a lot of people and not using your numbers to your advantage. There's been 3 situations recently where squads have walked past me because of their lack of awareness. It's usually just the first guy that's doing the looking, and the rest of them seem to just be following them most of the time. If the first guy doesn't see anything, then the rest of the squad assumes it's fine. In a perfect world, if you guys want to have the best chance of survival, you need to stick to 360-degree security at all times and never stop. Constantly scan and never have more than one person have their gun down unless it's absolutely necessary. With a game as unforgiving as Escape from Tarkov, it really does matter. Even when playing with friends who should know better, we get cocky and do stuff we really shouldn't if we are trying to survive. Just remember that no matter how many people you've brought with you, you are still just as fragile as you always are in Tarkov. The second thing here is using your numbers effectively. If you're all stacked up in a single hallway or danger area or walking within 10 meters of everyone else, you're doing it wrong. Spread out and do not put yourselves in a corner if you can help it. Too many times do I see more than 2 people trying to peek a corner when the extra people should be trying to move around and flank. If at all possible, you should always be trying to move to an L shape when in a fight. This is your basic flank. Have you and your teammates, however many there are, try to get the enemy players in a corner so that you have clear shots at their flanks. Corners do not always have to be a wall either. Open space or terrain that will otherwise get them killed if they try to cross it counts as a corner. Once you have them there, if it isn't over quickly from that point, then that is when communication comes into play. Communication was a big topic of the squad success video, but I'll explain a good tactic here which only requires 2 people at the minimum. The ammo dump bait has been particularly effective as long as you can communicate quickly and efficiently. When you and at least one other player have an L-shaped flank, aka at least a 90-degree flank on somebody, then just peek until one of you can confirm the enemy is looking at you. If they get too worried, they'll begin to shoot a lot. Continue to bait shots until they need to reload, and whoever is closest goes in for the kill. If you're still too far away, just use them reloading or otherwise putting their head down as a way to get closer. The key here is that you and your buddy need to have at least a 90-degree angle on the enemy player, or else it's a bit too risky. For example, if the enemy player is at the end of the hallway of the 3-story dorms on customs, you would both need to funnel down that hallway, and it's too risky. If that enemy player was in the middle of the hall where you and your buddy can flank from the 2 staircases, then that's completely doable. This works with meds as well, so if you hear the person using their meds, then push. However, remember with meds that they can cancel that animation and they might be trying to bait you into checking the corner. Reloading will always be a good idea because if they do need to reload, then the chances are they're going to finish that reload. Now for the counter. If you ever find yourself on the wrong end of an L formation or just otherwise outflanked, there's 2 realistic options to get you out of that situation. You should always try to pull back if you can or push hard in one direction if you can't. If you stay where you are, you will heavily depend on your cover and the skill of the enemy, but you're likely screwed if you are on even grounds in terms of loadouts. However, I won't leave out the option of you just getting lucky. Now, if you're not lucky, the key is speed, so make sure you can move. If you know you're about to get in a fight, I always suggest that you always pop a painkiller if you can, so that you can move as long as you have the stamina available. Now, in reality, where these tactics are actually coming from, you know you'll always have help from someone else, whether it's from a different squad or another person helping you out, because these are actually squad tactics. But that's not always the case here in a video game, as you can easily, and actually most of the time, be a solo player. Fire superiority still has its use in getting the enemy scared enough to not want to hold an angle on you. If you find yourself in a situation like this and you can't get out, then don't leave any ammo in your weapon and make yourself worthy for Valhalla by doing this. Try and be conscious of how much ammo you have available and cut it in half. If you have 2 mags available, then start with the player farthest away from you and shoot wildly at them to get them uncomfortable. Then switch to the closer player as they are the bigger threat. If they clearly aren't scared because you weren't close enough with your shots or they're just super chads, you can kiss your cheeky butt goodbye, but you should still remember Valhalla and try this out. If you're still alive and able to move at this point, then look to get one of the flanking players heads down, preferably the one closest to you, and then rush them as quick as possible. This leaves the other player to shoot, so hopefully with all the shooting you did, they have their head down too. If not, just try to keep as much between you and them as possible. When the flanking player gets their head back up, you are counting on their surprise and even panic to work in your favor. If you're lucky enough to get through that and eliminate the closer player, then try try to keep as much information on the other person as possible while you prepare for the next fight. Consider your options though. You can fall back or otherwise get away from the situation much easier now that there's only one direction that you need to worry about. Take your time and handle the situation to the best of your abilities from there. Now there's always the possibility of having more than 2 people to worry about, and if that's the case, I really would prioritize trying to get yourself out of that situation instead of pushing. But again, if you have to push, then it's still the best way to get out of this. Now, if you find yourself lucky enough to have a buddy with you while in this position, then leave one person as a base of fire to get the farther player's head down while one of you pushes the closer player. Then work together to get the second player flanked from there. Those are some quick and dirty squad tactics for you guys that I hope you can put to some good use. If you want to learn anything about Escape from Tarkov or its development, then you can check out my playlists for it here. If you need someone to play with, then check out our Discord below. If you like this video, then you know the drill. I really appreciate the people who do. Otherwise, I hope you at least learned something, and I also hope you have a nice day. See you guys.